Thanks for watching Blitz. I'm Brian Carr here at Habersham Central with eighth-year head coach John Hood. Coach, I always appreciate having you on here and talking basketball with you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Brian. It's always a pleasure to be on here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you got to be excited. A brand new, every time a season starts, you got that exciting new feel, like a brand new slate. And so far, a great slate for you, 5-1 overall. What would you say about how your team's played so far? You got to be satisfied, I'm imagining, with how the girls have been able to play.
Well, we're off to a good start. We've played well at times. We still need a lot of work. Fundamentally, we work every day in practice on trying to execute offensively better and improve defensively. But we're excited to be 5-1 and off to a good start.
Yeah, now the one and only blemish on your record so far is a tough loss against Chestatee. I understand there were, you were down by 19, make a huge comeback. Talk about the resiliency of the girls and kind of what you take away from that loss, and then a shot at maybe getting avenge of that loss. Not so much on Chestatee, but just being able to avenge that loss in itself when you play them Friday night, December 2nd.
Well, Brian, we have a lot of seniors, and our seniors are, of course, very mature, and they've been here a while, and they know kind of what to expect, and they had an attitude in that game when we got down, and things looked pretty bleak there for a while against Chestatee, who was playing very well at the time, that they just were going to refuse to just give up. And in the past, when you're not as experienced as we are now, maybe we would have kind of given up. But they just refused to do that, and they kept battling. And I thought it was the best second half we've played here in 5 or 6 years. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely says a lot there. And now we turn the page also, not just a new season, but this, I believe, is the 4th different region that Habersham has been in 6 years, if I'm not mistaken on that. I know you went from 8-4A, 7-6A, 6-6A, 8-6A. Now it's hard to keep up with, but this one seems a lot closer to when we were in 8-4A, which was, a lot better feel to it. How do you feel like when the dust settles that Habersham Central kind of fits into this region at the end of the year?
We feel very at home there because we played. Winder was in our old region in Appalachia. We're not very familiar with Decula or Lanier or even Gainesville, but all of those teams are closer in proximity than the current team. So than the past team. So we like being in the new region. We like only having 10 region games versus 18 or 20 region games. So. It's allowed us to play some non-region games in the early part of the season and hopefully work on some things. But we really like where we are now. And what was bad about the old region, Brian, is that we would open up with a region game and then play 18 or 20 region games, and it was bad for the crowds and the home gates, and the travel was bad. I mean, it was just, this is a much better situation. So we feel good about it.
Absolutely. I know you're a fan of the schedule as well. Like you mentioned, not having to open up with a region game right out of the gates, which just seems so unfair for any team to have to do that right away. But, you don't shy away from competition because you got 2 matches, 2 games against Chestatee. So you got a tough non-region slate. But like you said, you get to build up. You get all until we turn the calendar to 2017. I think January 6th is the first region date. How does that differ from years past, the way the schedule works out?
Years past, we opened with region games and had to play straight through, and then we always played, like, to get a couple non-region games, we would play in a Christmas tournament. This year, we're playing a lot of non-region games early. Then we're going at Christmas. We're going to do something we hadn't done in a while, is just give the girls some time off, and we think that will rejuvenate them physically and mentally, that they'll come back after the new year. We'll start back practicing, but they'll come back. They won't have to play right away when school starts back. They'll have 3 or 4 days to get back in the routine, and then they'll just have Tuesday, Friday games there on out. We only have that one Saturday game, and then the rest of them are Tuesday, Friday, which gives them an extra day of rest. So we feel good about it. We feel like it's going to set up, pretty well for us, and it gives us some extra time to scout our opponents for after the new year.
Absolutely. What is it that you're really focusing on and hoping that your team improves upon before region play kicks in? I know in all these non-region games, you don't have that so much pressure on getting the wins and losses. I mean, they're great to have, but what is it you're kind of focusing on from a coaching standpoint?
we don't feel the pressure to win every game so that we're down in region standing. So we can just work on personnel is a big thing, Brian. We like to try to. We've been letting. There's several games where every girl on the bench has played. We'd like to try to do more of that and get in kind of get a read on our personnel for some of the younger players. And then also it just allows us to play a game, look at our mistakes, and work on those mistakes. Fundamentally, I think I've already said executing offensively is a big concern. So just not having the pressure of trying to be perfect so that we don't get down in the region standings early in the season has, I think, put everybody in a better mood. Really good.
And you kind of alluded to the experience of this team, and a lot of that goes with it doesn't hurt having a player like Lainey Gosnell here, perhaps one of the best ever play here up there with Haley Guerin, those two. But you also have a team with 7 seniors on it, so you've got that experience. A lot of them maybe not in terms of minutes, but just being in this program and knowing what it takes to win. How much relies on the success of these seniors and how well they play together, and especially with Lainey out there?
Well, it's a big part of what we're going to try to do this year. If we've been down a couple of times in games, we had a 15-point lead at Madison, and they stormed back and tied it up, and we were tired, and our leadership just took over. It was like, we're not going to let this happen, and that's a big part. I mean, ultimately in the end, it's going to come back on. Coaches can coach so much, and we can try to get you out there, but you got to have that we're not losing attitude. Yeah. And I think this group of seniors has been in the system long enough that they understand. And I'll give you an example. We usually, before our first road game, we usually sit in the locker room and talk about the do's and don'ts of bus travel, but we got tied up and couldn't really get to them, and they were loaded, and they got on there, and it was just business as usual. They turned their phones in. Nobody's on the phone. Everybody's, focused and listening, getting ready for the game. And that's something in the past we would talk about, but this year they got on there and they knew, because that's the power of having an experienced team. And we've got some good juniors too. And juniors and seniors, when you have those on a team, you've got a chance at having some pretty good leadership.
Sure, and I feel like we're heading toward something we haven't seen here since 2011 and 2012, and that's a state playoff appearance. What would that mean for this community, the school, the coaches, the players, to be able to get back there and hopefully make a run like that year when you won 20-plus games, went to the Sweet 16, and just seconds away from an Elite 8 appearance?
It would mean a lot, and I would like for these girls to experience that atmosphere and get to feel that energy in the gym. I tell you, Habersham Central has been on the losing end in athletics to this new regional alignment for the last 4 years. We've been really had our backs against the wall in all sports, and it's saying, well, you hadn't been to the state tournament in 4 or 5 years, but we've had good teams. Mm-hmm. But we've played against some of the very best teams in the state. The one year we had Guerin, and their senior year, Norcross and North Gwinnett were 2 of the top teams in the United States that year. So all of that said, we feel like we have a very fine team this year, and we hope that we can build that energy back up around the girls program, and that people will. But we do have good crowds, and we hope they'll continue to come and support these girls, because we feel like they're pretty special.
Yeah, you said it best. Great community support, great coaching, I know for sure. You got the talent out there on the court, and the senior leadership sounds like you're all focused in. But, Coach, looking forward to a great rest of the season for you, and I really feel like this is a great year for the Lady Raiders.
Well, we hope so, Brian. I appreciate you and you coming out and interviewing Lainey and giving us a chance to talk about Habersham Central. That's important to us. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach. Check out that interview he's talking about with Lainey Gosnell here on Blitz.